A soft golden light covered the surface of the moon Aurelia as its two suns crossed the sky together. The air was warm, the breeze gentle, and the trees shimmered with silver leaves that moved like music. This world felt peaceful in a way few places in the galaxy ever did. Dr. Adrian Hale, a human xenobiologist, stood at the edge of a crystal blue river, recording data on the local plant life. His mission was scientific and simple in intention, to learn about new life, not to disturb it. The Earth Exploration Council had sent him and a small research team to Aurelia only 2 months ago, but already Adrian felt the planet touching him in ways he did not expect. Its beauty was calming, almost healing, yet something about Aurelia also felt watchful, as if the world itself was aware of him. Adrian was 32 with thoughtful dark eyes and hands that always held tools, pens, or samples. He was not a soldier, not a diplomat, not a hero. He was simply a man who wanted to understand new life, and on this day, his wish was about to be fulfilled in a way no human could have imagined. He looked up when he heard a sound. Not footsteps, not rustling leaves, but a soft tone like a chime played by the wind. Across the river stood a figure, tall, graceful, human-like, but not quite human. Her skin had a faint pearlescent glow, catching the sunlight like morning dew. Her hair fell like flowing silver silk, and her eyes were clear and bright, like the sky reflected in water. She wore clothing made of woven light fibers that looked soft and natural, not manufactured. Everything about her was calm, balanced, and gentle. Adrian froze, not in fear but awe. The being tilted her head slightly, studying him with curious eyes. And then a voice echoed in Adrian's mind, not spoken aloud, not forced but soft and respectful. "Greetings, traveler from the distant world." Adrian blinked, his breath catching. He had read about telepathic communication in theoretical studies, but experiencing it was something else entirely. He answered softly, not sure if speaking or thinking was correct. "Hello. I am Dr. Adrian Hale. I come from Earth." The being smiled, a warm, sincere smile that reached her eyes. "I am Lysera," she said, this time using her voice, gentle, musical, and very real. "Welcome to Aurelia." Adrian crossed the river slowly and carefully, not wanting to appear threatening. He noticed that Lysera did not step back. She simply watched him, calm and open. "You knew we were here?" he asked. "Yes," she answered. "We have watched your ship since it entered orbit. We observed your actions. You take samples, but you harm nothing. You study the world, but you do not try to change it. Your presence is gentle." Adrian felt something warm inside his chest. Humanity in its history was not always gentle. Many worlds viewed humans with suspicion, but here, at least in Lysera's eyes, he was seen differently. Lysera continued, speaking with grace and clarity. "Aurelia is home to my people. We are called the Aurelians. We have lived here for thousands of years. We share thoughts and emotions through the Elysian network, a connection of minds. It allows us to understand one another without misunderstanding or conflict." Adrian listened carefully. A society where minds were connected. No lies, no loneliness, no barriers. It sounded impossible, yet here stood proof. "That sounds peaceful," Adrian said softly. "It is," Lysera replied. "But it also means we do not understand the meaning of individual choice. We feel what others feel. We think what others think. There is harmony, yes, but also limitation." She looked directly into his eyes, and for a brief moment, Adrian felt a trace of curiosity. Her curiosity, touching his thoughts like a breeze. "You are different," she said quietly. "Humans are not connected this way. You live with your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own dreams. You choose your path even when others cannot understand it. That is both dangerous and beautiful." Adrian was silent. No one had ever described humanity that way before. Lysera stepped closer. Not too near. Just close enough that Adrian could see the faint patterns of light moving under her skin, like gently glowing rivers. "I have studied the transmissions your people sent into space," she continued. "Your music, your literature, your art, so many colors of emotion, so many opposing truths living side by side. We do not have that here." "You wish to learn about us?" Adrian asked. "Yes," Lysera said simply. I want to understand what it means to feel with one's own heart and not through the minds of others. She extended her hand. Adrian looked at it. Not for long, only a breath, but long enough to realize this was no ordinary gesture. Aurelians did not touch casually. They did not shake hands. Physical contact among them was rare and deeply meaningful. If he accepted her hand, it meant something important, something that symbolized trust, curiosity, and the desire to connect worlds. Adrian lifted his hand slowly and placed it in hers. Their fingers touched, warm against warm. And in that moment, Adrian felt a gentle wave of emotion that was not overwhelming, not invasive but soft. Curiosity, kindness, openness. Lysera did not try to control his thoughts. She only let him feel that she meant no harm. Lysera spoke, voice quiet but full of strength. Our worlds do not have to stand apart. Let us learn from each other. Adrian nodded, his voice almost a whisper. I would like that, truly. The trees swayed, the river flowed, and the two suns cast a radiant glow on them both. For the first time in the long history of both civilizations, a human and an Aurelian stood hand in hand, not as strangers, not as rivals, but as two beings who chose understanding over fear. From a distance unknown to them, others watched. Some were hopeful, some were afraid, but none could stop the truth of what had just happened. Connection had formed, not of minds, not of politics, but of choice, a choice that would change the course of two worlds. The days after Adrian and Lysera's first meeting felt different for both of them. Something small had begun, like the first soft light of a sunrise, not loud, not sudden, just gentle, steady, and real. Adrian continued his research near the river each morning, and each morning Lysera came to meet him. She always arrived quietly, like the breeze, her expression warm and curious. They spoke about everything. Adrian told her about Earth, the oceans, the cities, the mountains, the seasons. He described how people argued, dreamed, built homes, made mistakes, and tried again. Humanity was loud and passionate, sometimes confused, sometimes brilliant. Lysera listened carefully, and with each story, her eyes brightened with new understanding. In return, Lysera shared her world. She explained how the Elysian network connected her people's minds, not to control but to share understanding. When one person learned something, everyone learned it. When one person felt joy, everyone felt a soft warmth. We do not have loneliness, she said softly one morning, sitting beside the river with her feet in the water. But sometimes I think we do not have individual dreams either. Adrian nodded. On Earth, everyone dreams separately. Sometimes we find people who share our dreams. Sometimes we don't. Lysera looked down at the clear water. Maybe that is why I wanted to meet you, she whispered. I wanted to know what it feels like to have a dream that belongs only to me. Her voice was not sad, only thoughtful. Adrian felt that the moment was delicate, like a fragile crystal leaf that could break if touched too roughly. He answered gently. You already have that dream. You're choosing to be here. That choice is yours alone. Lysera looked up. Her smile was small but bright. A smile born from the heart, not from the shared mind of her people, but not everyone saw their friendship the same way. Among the Aurelians, whispers began to move through the shared network. Not angry, not hateful, only uncertain. Lysera is spending time apart. She is thinking alone. She is connecting with an outsider. To the Aurelians, thoughts were meant to be shared. Every emotion, every idea belonged to everyone. Lysera's private thoughts, her individual feelings, were unfamiliar to them. Even her father, Elendor, Speaker of the Council, felt a quiet concern. One evening, Lysera returned to the Hall of Voices where the council met. The hall was grand, open, and filled with soft white light. The air was calm, so calm that one could hear the gentle hum of the Elysian network flowing between minds. Elendor stood at the center, tall and dignified, his presence steady like a pillar of old stone. My daughter, he said in that calm, shared voice that carried not through ears, but through thoughts. You have spent many days away from the network, in the company of the human visitor. Lysera answered aloud, choosing individuality again. Yes, father. I wish to learn. I wish to understand. Elendor's expression held no anger, only deep concern. The network has felt distance. Your thoughts, once clear among us, have grown quiet and separate. Lysera lowered her gaze for a moment, then lifted it again with quiet courage. I am still Aurelian, she said, but I am also myself. The council members shared a gentle wave of emotion, confusion, curiosity, uncertainty, but no hostility. Another elder spoke, voice soft. Do you believe the human wishes harm upon us? Lysera shook her head. No, he is kind. He listens. He does not come to change us. He only wants to understand just as I do. The network absorbed this truth, but understanding did not erase concern. Elendor stepped closer. Lysera, we do not fear humanity, but humans live by their own hearts. Their emotions are strong, unpredictable. If one person suffers, the others do not. If one person is joyful, the others do not feel it. Their world is full of separation. We have always feared what separation could bring. Lysera responded gently but with firm conviction. Father, sometimes separation allows a person to find who they truly are. Her father did not argue. Aurelians rarely argued. Their society valued calm and reflection. Instead, he placed his hand lightly near her cheek, not touching but close enough to express affection. Your path is your own, he said, but walk it with care. On Earth, things were also changing. Messages from Aurelia had reached the Earth Exploration Council. Reports of telepathic life. Reports of communication. At first, Earth reacted with excitement and wonder, but because humans were human, wonder quickly mixed with fear. What if they can read our thoughts? What if they influence our emotions? What if humanity becomes dependent on them? Meetings were held. Discussions were long. Opinions clashed quietly behind polished tables. Some believed the Aurelians could become allies. Others feared they could overpower humanity simply by understanding human minds too deeply. In the middle of these discussions, a message from Adrian arrived, calm, thoughtful, and sincere. He spoke of Lysera, of their conversations, of the beauty of Aurelia, and the peaceful nature of its people. Most listened. Some did not. But the message planted something important, possibility. Meanwhile, back on Aurelia, Adrian noticed a change in Lysera one morning as they walked along a path decorated with glowing flowers. She was quieter, thoughtful, as if something heavy rested in her mind. Lysera, he asked gently, is something wrong? She paused, hands lightly brushing the flowers. Their glow shimmered at her touch like fireflies. My people know I am changing, she said softly. They feel the space I'm making inside myself. They do not understand it. Adrian looked concerned, but he did not speak yet. He let her finish. In the network, all emotions blend. No one is alone. But now, because of how I feel, there is a corner of my heart that only I know. And they feel its absence. Adrian understood then. Her world was built on shared unity. His world was built on individual identity. Both had beauty. Both had cost. Do you regret it? He asked quietly. Lysera turned toward him. Her eyes were clear, her voice soft, her heart steady. No, she said, because what I am learning with you is something my people have never known. And I believe it is something they need to learn, too. Adrian felt something gentle and powerful inside him. Not romance, not claim, but respect. He extended his hand to her, the same way she had done before. She looked at his hand and softly placed her own in his. They walked together through the glowing forest in quiet harmony. Two different worlds. Two different ways of living. Side by side, and yet, not everyone was ready for unity. Among the Aurelians, quiet concern continued to grow. Not resistance. Not rejection. Just uncertainty. Among humans, debates continued. Not hostility. Just fear of the unknown. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath, for something small but powerful had begun. A single connection, a choice made freely, a dream shared not by a network or a planet, but by two individuals. And sometimes the smallest spark is what changes everything. The sun rose softly over Aurelia, painting the sky with warm gold. The silver leaves on the trees shimmered in the morning breeze. The river reflected the light like a flowing mirror. Everything looked calm, but inside both Adrian and Lysera, a quiet hope and a quiet worry existed together. Their worlds now knew about each other. Their worlds were thinking about each other, and both worlds were unsure. A message from Earth. One morning, Adrian received a communication from the Earth Exploration Council. The message was not harsh, not angry. It was polite, formal, and careful. Dr. Adrian Hale, we acknowledge your reports. We request a formal meeting with representatives of the Aurelian people. We wish to understand them directly. Adrian felt a soft relief. This was not rejection. This was not fear taking over. This was openness. He showed the message to Lysera, who read it quietly. This is good, Adrian said gently. Earth wants to talk. Not control. Not argue. Just talk. Lysera closed her eyes for a moment. Adrian could sense she was sharing the news through the Elysian network, sending the message for all Aurelians to feel and understand. A gentle wave of emotion spread through Aurelia. Curiosity, calm interest, cautious hope. Her father, Elendor, the Speaker of the Council, approached them later that day. Earth wishes dialogue, he said with a small, thoughtful smile. This is a moment our ancestors could never imagine. Two worlds meeting not in fear but in learning. Adrian felt his heart lift. Lysera nodded, her silver hair flowing softly in the wind. It is time, she said. I will go to Earth with Adrian. Elendor looked at her carefully. You understand that leaving Aurelia means stepping outside the network's constant presence. Lysera smiled, gentle, but steady. Yes, father. I will always be Aurelian, but I will also be myself. Her father placed his hand over his heart, a gesture of deep respect. The journey to Earth, the ship that carried them to Earth, was simple and quiet inside. Lysera sat near the window, watching stars stretch like soft trails of light. Adrian sat beside her, but he did not speak. He did not want to interrupt her thoughts. Lysera felt the distance from the Elysian network growing slowly. The shared emotions of her people faded into the background. Not gone, just farther away like voices heard from a dream. For the first time in her life, there was silence inside her mind, but it did not frighten her. She placed her hand over her heart and breathed gently. Inside that silence, she felt something new. Her own voice, her own feelings. Not blended with anyone else's, not influenced. Not shared, just her. She looked at Adrian and her voice was soft. Thank you. Adrian blinked. For what? For showing me that an individual heart can be strong and gentle at the same time. Adrian was quiet, but his eyes were warm. Earth's first meeting with Aurelia. The ship landed in a peaceful garden courtyard of the Earth Council Hall. The air smelled faintly of pine and morning dew. A light mist hung above the grass. Leaders from Earth had gathered. Scientists, diplomats, cultural historians. Not soldiers, not guards. Everyone stood respectfully. Lysera stepped forward with calm grace. Her presence was gentle, but there was something strong in her way of standing, as if she knew exactly who she was. The head diplomat, a thoughtful woman named Dr. Ilara Quinn, smiled kindly. Welcome to Earth, Lysera of Aurelia. We are honored. Lysera bowed her head slightly. And I am honored to be welcomed. I come not to represent just my people, but the possibility of two worlds growing together. The meeting began not with speeches, but with simple conversation. They spoke about how Aurelians learn and share knowledge, how humans dream and create, how both species feel emotions, how both worlds value family, growth, peace, and meaning. The conversations were patient. The tone was calm. Every person listened. There was no shouting, no fear, just understanding being built one word at a time. The question that mattered. Most during the afternoon session, a historian from Earth asked something that made the room become very quiet. Lysera, do your people believe humans are dangerous? Lysera thought for a moment before answering. Humans feel strongly, she said. Joy, fear, hope, anger, love, doubt. Every emotion burns bright. That brightness can create beauty or confusion. But it also creates choice. And choice is not danger. Choice is life. Her words were simple, but they carried weight. Your people, she continued, have learned how to walk through many emotions without surrendering to them. You may not always succeed, but you always try again. That is something my people want to understand. Adrian noticed that many in the room had softened expressions. Not emotional, just thoughtful and open. A message sent across two suns back on Aurelia. Elendor shared the feeling of the Earth meeting with the network. Lysera may have been far away, but her intentions, her honesty, and her hope could still be sensed. Aurelians were not asked to change. They were not told to think differently. They were simply shown that another way of being was not something to fear. On Earth, the leaders realized that Aurelians did not want to control thoughts or influence minds. They wanted to learn individuality, not erase it. The two worlds were finally seeing each other clearly. The promise on the final day of the visit, the council hall opened its large garden for a public gathering. People from Earth and representatives connected to Aurelia gathered together. There were no banners, no symbols, just people standing together under the open sky. Lysera stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice that could be heard by all. Our worlds are different. Our histories are different. Our ways of living are different. But difference is not a wall. Difference is a bridge waiting to be walked. She turned, looking at Adrian. He stepped beside her. Lysera reached out and held his hand. The gesture that had begun everything. Not a romantic claim. Not a dramatic performance. Just a symbol of trust. She continued. Let us promise that we will learn from one another. Let us promise that we will share without forcing. Let us promise that we will walk together without making the other smaller. Then Adrian spoke, his voice steady. We do not need to become the same. We only need to understand each other. The crowd was quiet, but it was a warm, peaceful quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when people understand something important. And in that moment, two worlds were no longer strangers. They were partners. The future begins. Gently, Adrian later traveled back to Aurelia with Lysera. Earth invited Aurelians to visit and study. Aurelia invited humans to learn and rest. Not everything changed at once. Change came softly, slowly, at a pace that respected both worlds. Aurelians learned what it meant to have personal dreams. Humans learned what it meant to share emotions with calm dignity. And every morning by the river on Aurelia, Adrian and Lysera still met, as they had on the first day. Not to form grand plans. Not to change entire civilizations, but simply to talk, to learn, to understand. Hand in hand, two people, two worlds walking side by side, and